Hi, everybody. My name is Kristen Keller. I am super excited to spend some time with you Friday afternoon crafting and making this really awesome piece. We are going to start from start to finish. We're going to make this. Let me go over some of the supplies that you need. We're going to need a couple of things. So the first thing that you're going to need is, this is done. We're doing this on a canvas panel, which looks like this. Let me grab one from behind me and I'll show you. It looks like this. It's like a hard kind of cardboard that's got paint canvas wrapped around it. You could also do this on like cardstock or like watercolor paper if that's what you have at home. You could really do this on anything, but today's class we're going to do it on one of these like canvas panels. You also are going to need probably a couple of markers. I have black to start with, but I've got more behind me that we'll grab if we need them. You're going to need some paintbrushes, a couple different sizes. You're going to need some watercolor, looks like this. You can use any kind of watercolor. You'll need a cup of water and some paper towels. If you have some of those handy, you might want to go grab some of those. And then the other thing that you're going to need is some paper. Any kind of colored paper will do. You can use construction paper if that's what you have. If you have pattern paper, that would be really fun. What I'm going to use today, because this is what I already had at my house, is this really cool ombre kind of gradient pad. Has a bunch of different sheets in it, and we're going to just cut out from the different sections the areas that we want. Got this at Michael's, but it's the Creatology paper that we're going to use. So, oh, and then if you have one last thing, this is entirely optional, but if you have sequins or like jewels or like any kind of thing that we can put on the end to like make it like really like finish it off, we're going to add those at the end. You could also use some glitter glue if you have some of that. We might add some of that to the end. This is entirely optional. You can do however you want with that. This is just whatever you might have around the house. If you have pom-poms, pipe cleaners would work really well. There's a lot of different ways that you can like take this project and make it your own, which is why I was so excited to teach this, because we're going to start with like the basics and the fundamentals, and then we're going to dive right into like all of the different ways that you can make this your own. I'm going to show you a bunch of different ways to do that. If you want to, Nicoria, if you want to switch down to like my overhead view so we can start seeing what we're doing. Can everybody see? Okay, I'm going to adjust this just a little bit so we can see it. We have a little bit better view. Okay, so this is the one that I was working on earlier. I'm going to put this away because we're going to start from fresh. Let me unwrap. Sorry, I keep bumping my camera. Let me unwrap this guy really quick so that we can get started. This is what we call a mixed media project. And mixed media projects are my very favorite kind of projects because it's a bunch of different kinds of different ways to do art. So this project has some paper where we're going to cut, where we're going to do kind of like mosaic collage is what we call it when we're cutting paper. We're going to do some watercolor. We're going to do some glue and some like drawing with some paint or with some markers. So it's going to have all sorts of different kinds of ways that we're going to do art today. Oh, one thing I didn't mention, you're going to need some scissors too. Make sure they're the kid safe scissors. If you're a kiddo cutting along with us, I want to make sure we're all safe. So we're going to start watercoloring right on to our canvas panel. The great thing about this canvas panel is that you can put acrylic paint, you can do watercolor paint, you could just draw right on this. It makes it's really nice because it's such a rough kind of like surface. You can put a lot of different things on it. But for today, we're going to do watercolor. So you'll note that we're putting stuff on top of it. So we're not doing like a super detailed watercolor scene. We're doing what I call a wash. Okay, So let me show you like the super secret, top secret, best way to do a wash. A wash is where you put a lot of water down on your paper first, and then you add color to it. Okay. Now you could start with water and just try to use your brush and get water all over that. That's going to take forever. So what I like to do when I am trying to do a wash is I get a spray bottle. Any kind of spray bottle will do. This is the same spray bottle that I use in the morning when I need to curl my hair again and I want to get it wet. You can use that same as long as it's just water. And what you're going to do is you're going to just spray your surface and you'll see that I'm just getting the whole thing wet. It's hard to see, you can't see it, but when you see, when I come away, my hands are very wet. You want it to be pretty wet, okay? Not like dripping. I don't want it to feel like it just got dropped in the water, but I want it to be pretty wet. And then I'm going to show you another secret. When you're working with watercolors and you're going to be kind of doing a wash, you also want a lot of water in your paint when you're working with your paint. And so what I also like to do is while I'm working on that is I like to then spray this too. And this is like a really quick way to get a lot of water into there so that it just kind of gets really, really loose. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over here a little bit so that you can see both the water and my panel that I'm going to be painting on. Okay, I'm going to clean off some of the stuff that got on there when I put that on top, just little surface stuff. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little bit more water again, maybe a little bit more over there. And now I'm going to take my brush. And what I like to do, because I want to I want big swaths, like strokes. I'm going to use the biggest brush that I have, okay? If I were doing a bigger surface, I might even use like a bigger brush. Like it just kind of depends however you want to do it. So you can decide whatever kind of color you want in your background. I'm going to probably, I don't know, what do I want to do? I want to do sunset, sunrise. Maybe I'm going to just, let's start with a little bit of green. Okay, you see, and I got some green on my brush, not a ton, but you'll see why I have the water. And do you see what happens when you put that water down? It kind of runs. You can kind of see how much water is there. And I just kind of want to blend it all in. And I'm just going to do kind of like a mix, and I might clean this one off and then maybe get a lighter green and kind of mix it in. And then if I need to add some more water, you can add some more water. And I'm not going to super worry about painting anything detailed. I'm just going to kind of like blend my colors together. This little piece of dust doesn't want to come out. There we go. And then what I might do is I'm going to, you know what? I think I'm going to add in some orange kind of at the top. And I might just kind of blend it in a little bit. Maybe add a little bit more water. You can just kind of keep adding and keep tweaking it. The thing to remember is every bit of water that you put on your paper, you have to let it dry. So you want to start with plenty and then kind of just like, and then after a while you want to stop working with water and adding it because we need to let it dry before I might add in a little bit of blue here at the bottom. And then I'm just going to kind of keep working with the colors and keep blending it in. If I feel like right there, that's a lot, I wanted it to be a little bit lighter than that, you can get another paper towel and you can just kind of soak up some of that and maybe just like get some of the brightness out because I wanted it to be a wash. I don't want to distract from the really pretty scene that I'm going to do on top. That's the great thing about water is it's like super, super forgiving, these watercolor paints that we're using. I might just soak up a little bit more just because I just don't want it super dark. Okay. And then you can always soak up more paint and then add more later. Okay. So I'm going to add some more water. And now I'm going to come in and maybe instead of going for that bright one that I just did, I'll use this lighter one and we'll just kind of go in with there like that. That's good. And then I'm going to add in some yellow here, maybe to kind of help blend it in. And we're just going to kind of get it to where we want it. Make sure we get all of our edges. Get a little bit more green down here. Get it all the way, kind of painted all the way over. We've got to get our edges over here. And it doesn't really matter kind of how you mix your paint. It can be, that's the really great thing about this kind of a technique that we're doing a wash, is we just want to get our background kind of all painted. You don't really want any straight lines. You just kind of want to blend it all in. So that's kind of what I'm going to do.
Hi, Christian. We have a question.
Sure. What do we have? What kind of questions are we using? We're seeing.
Luke asked, what kind of paint are you using?
Great question. I am using this Creatology watercolor paint. It's just washable watercolor paint. It's the pan paint, so you just get it wet and work with it from there. So any kind of watercolor paint will work great, is for this kind of surface that we're doing. What other questions do we have?
So far, oh, and we have from Autumn, can she wet the paper?
Yes, I would absolutely recommend wetting the paper. That's totally like your very first step, is get your paper wet and then put your paint on top of the wet. Yes. And then what we're going to do is, once we kind of get this the way that we want, you can kind of see how it's kind of like still runny. It's still shiny. It's still pretty wet. I need to let this dry. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put this on the table behind me, give it a minute to dry while I work on cutting out the paper parts for my collage. So if you're still working on it, go ahead. You can finish it up here. But the nice thing about water is it dries fast. So this should be dry here in the next few minutes when we're ready for it. So just know I'm going to move this over here to this part of my table where we can see it behind us, but I'm going to get it out of the way so that I can work on my next step. I'm done with my paints now. We're not going to use those again. I'm going to clean up my little workstation here a little bit. Okay.
Hi, Christian. We have another question.
Yeah, what's our question?
They asked what colors should they use, or can they pick some of their own colors?
You can use whatever colors you want. If your favorite colors are pink, purple, and blue, use pink, purple, and blue. If you have like metallic watercolor paint and you want to use that, go for it. There is no right. I would never make you pick the same colors that I pick, because picking your favorite colors is like the best part of doing an art project. At least for me, I love colors. In fact, in my bedroom right now, I have a sign that's hanging up that says, I never met a color I didn't love, because color is like the best. Any other questions before we move on to our collage portion of the class?
Just one more. Luke asked, what kind of paper are you using?
So for the watercolor portion that we just did, I actually am not using paper. I am using a canvas panel. You can get them, these 9x12s that I'm using, you can get them at Michael's in the kids section. It's like hard plastic, it's like hard cardboard with like canvas kind of fabric wrapped around it. So that's what I used for the first portion that we started with. What I'm going to do now, this is just any kind of like paper that you want to use. What I'm going to use for this piece is these fun papers that have this kind of gradient that change colors, because I thought that would be fun to have like those kinds of examples. So like this one has those, and that's what we're going to do. So, and this is just like regular paper, but you could use whatever kind of colored paper that you have at home. It also doesn't have to be just color. Like if you had like newspaper might be a really cool way to do it, or if you wanted to use magazines, you could use magazines, all sorts of stuff that you could use. And yeah, I saw a question about the canvas instead of a canvas panel. Absolutely, you could totally use, like if you have like the traditional wrapped canvas, that works great too. Absolutely. That's the great thing about like this kind of project. It's mixed media, so inherently you're using a bunch of different supplies. So like use whatever that you want. Oh, somebody wants to see mine again. It's still drying, this piece. This is what I did. You can see where there's like little sections where like the paint is kind of, it's still working on it. This is a background that I did earlier. And we'll go through the steps to do how we did all of this piece, okay? So the adding of things is what was the very last step. So we are going to now cut the pieces for what we are going to add, because every single thing that we're going to do, we're going to draw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out a couple of pieces that I want to use. So I think I'm going to use this one, and we'll use that paper. I think I definitely want to use this guy. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with an artist called Matisse, but he's one of my very favorite artists. And he is like super famous for his like collage style paintings and paper cut outs. Like he did a lot of like paper cutout stuff, which I really love. You can see his stuff in museums. He's really, really famous for that. So I say that because it's not going to be an exact look-alike. That's not the, we're not trying to go for like photorealism where it looks exactly like the picture of a flower. We're going to go for something that kind of is a general idea that is simple enough that you can easily cut it out with paper. So let me show you some of the things that I'm going to suggest that we start with. I'm going to grab my pair of scissors. And what I like to do to start with is I like to like kind of cut myself a shape. And then I cut so that I'm not trying to hold the whole paper. So then for like this one, I think I'm going to just do like a half circle. And that's going to be like the tops of one of my flowers. I'm going to put that over to the side. And then I might do like, I like this paper because I can have it, I can have the different colors show up, which is kind of nice. Like you can see the different, like the gradient as it goes from like pink to darker purple. And I think for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like a tulip kind of looking thing. So it's going to be like a U shape. And then I'm going to come in a little bit. And this is, you can draw it first if you want to. Totally can do that. What I'm just like freehanding cutting it. I don't want to think about it too hard. I don't want to make it too complicated. So I'm just going to freehand cut it. And then I think, you know what, I think this guy needs some like points. So I'm going to cut in like some little triangles. And not worry about it too much, okay? So there's that guy, there's one. And then, you know what, I think we need like a traditional kind of flower with the like the loop. So let's do one of those. And you don't want anything too massive because remember, we're kind of working on a piece of paper that's only 9 inches by 12 inches. So it's not like a giant like wall size painting. And for this one, I might trace it. So I'm going to grab a pencil and I might just flip it over onto this side and just say, I'm going to do that kind of flower. And then I can cut it out. Like if I'm doing something a little bit more intense, I can do that. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not going to like stress if I don't get the lines like exactly right. My favorite kind of art projects are the ones that I can do and not be like stressed about it. I like art as a way to like relax and like take my mind off something, or like to at the end of the day, if it's been a crazy day, to like do something fun that makes me feel good. And if I'm stressed about it being perfect, then that doesn't help me. So I like to do art as a way to like just kind of go with the flow. And the great thing about art is like Nothing's permanent. So if I decide, oh, I messed this up, I'm going to just grab another piece of paper and start over again. So it's like no stress. And then sometimes if you just keep working with it, it's going to be okay. You can like fix mistakes really easy, add more paint, cover it with paper, do something else. There's a lot of different ways to work with it. See, I fixed that little pointy edge. Okay, so there's my one. That's one circle or one flower. So I've got 3 flowers now. I think, let's see, maybe let's do some orange and some yellow guys over here on this paper. Maybe what we want is just like a big kind of circle. And then we can draw in some of the lines afterwards. And I'm going to fix this guy so that it looks like a circle actually. So there's that. Or, you know what I might do? I might add some, we're going to add some little like petals this way. And I'll come back and I'll cut them afterwards. Like this is what I'm going to do. Every other one, I'll cut it so that it looks like that. That'll look, I think that'll be fun. Kind of like a sunflower is how I'm gonna talk about it. And it's really easy. You just cut little slits in your paper. And then every now and then just kind of come in and cut it. Oh yeah, this is gonna be cool. I think this one might be my favorite. I'll keep going. Oh yeah, see, that looks good. With some sequins in the middle, that'll be a real fun flower. And then maybe I'm just gonna keep gathering my trash kind of in the middle and we'll throw it away when we're done. Maybe then we need another half circle. We'll do that one here with this kind of reddish. We'll go for there. Oh, hold on. We'll have that be one. And maybe let's do little like strips in there. And then we'll go there. So there's one there. I think that is really cute. And I think that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's good. I think I'm going to stop with 5 flowers. We're going to stop the cutting with that one. But what we do need to do now are cut some stems and some leaves. So we're going to use these green pieces of paper here. Leave this green section and this green section here, and we will cut some stems. So I'm going to just cut some straight strips here. Stems are pretty simple. This is where if you had like Chanel like pipe cleaners, you could totally use that. That could be really fun. And we're going to keep working here. Let's see, I've got 5 stems, so we're going to do, let's do 3 of the darker green. Okay, and then we're going to do some sections here. Well, we'll do some strips here of this lighter green. Okay, and then now we need to cut out some leaves. And how I'm going to do the leaves is pretty simple. I'm just going to do some curved lines that meet at the top and the bottom. So I'm going to do a curved line there, and then a curved line here. And it's just as simple as that. So I'm just making 2 curved lines that meet at the top and the bottom, and it makes that just kind of nice little leaf shape. And then we're going to do some littler ones. Sometimes you have to kind of come back and have them really meet. Make some more leaves. I like this because it looks like it's going to look really nice with all of the different kinds of shades of green mixed in. And we can do some lighter leaves on the darker stems. I think that's going to look really cool. So there, we'll do a couple more. There. Okay, I think that is enough pieces for what we're going to cut out. Now the next part that we're going to do, this is probably the hardest part of the whole art project. And even then, it's not that hard, okay? We need to do the fist that's holding the flowers, okay? I'll show you what I'm talking about. While our guy is, ooh, he's getting nice and close to being dry. Do you see, like down here, he's dry. We just need to get him dry up at the top. So that's perfect. So we'll let that keep going. So the part that I'm talking about is this part here, our little fist that's holding the flowers, right? Because that's kind of what it's supposed to look like, is a hand holding a bouquet of flowers. So this is the part that we're going to draw next, okay? And this is where you're definitely going to want to have a pencil. And what I'm going to suggest is pick a color that you didn't really use in your flowers, and that you didn't use a ton of in your background. And so for me, that color is kind of this bluish kind of color here. I'm going to use this blue is where I'm going to draw my hand, okay? Before I move on to that, any questions about cutting out our flowers or our leaves or our petals, anything that we've done up until now that we need to make sure that everybody's kind of up to date and caught up with?
We don't have any questions. It's just that Ava hasn't finished painting and she came in. She's just worried about being left behind.
Oh goodness, don't worry about any of it. That's okay. Not even a problem. If you came in a little bit late, you can keep working on what you're doing and just know that this class is being recorded, so that we can post this recording later. So that if you want to go back and watch something that I showed you how to do, you can go back and watch it and get the rest of it later, or you can stop your painting, catch up to where we're at, and then go back and finish your painting and assemble it all later. You have there's no like I said, it's Friday afternoon. We've all finished school. I'm almost done with work. We're going to not stress about this. This is going to be fun and relaxing way to start our weekend. Okay, guys? No pressure. So what we're going to do for our fist is I'm going to have my fist being held by my right hand, okay? So it's going to kind of come up. If I think about my paper, and this is my paper, I want it to kind of come up like it's holding it like this, and then the flowers are coming up out of the top. Does that make sense? So that's how I'm going to kind of draw it. Now, also remember what I said. This is going to be cut out of paper. So it is not going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect, and it's not supposed to be perfect, okay? It's going to look like we cut it out of paper, we assembled it all on paper. This is what we're doing while we're waiting for everything to dry, while we've cutting out everything, while we're kind of waiting for everything to assemble, all right? Luke, I see that you're saying that yours isn't done drying. Totally okay, don't worry about it. We're doing this while that's drying. So what you're going to kind of do is, this is the way that I like to start. I want to start with the hardest part. And if you think about a knuckle, like if you make a fist, right? You look at this part of the fist, because this is basically how we're going to draw our fist. It's going to look like this, okay? So you see, and I like to think like these guys as little like side mountains, okay? And we're going to draw that first. So I'm going to start that kind of right here. And I'm going to, let's see. So I'm going to start by drawing 4 kind of little valleys, okay? Little mountains. And it's going to be kind of hard to see. I'll hold it. I'll try to make it so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you guys see that? I did 4 little, kind of like, think of it as like little 3s, 2 3s on top of each other. But that's kind of how that's going to be this part of the hand, okay? So that's kind of how we're going to start. And then from the top, we're going to look at like how I did it over here. I'll show you. So from the top, it's kind of just like a straight line, and we're going to slowly curve it down. And then on the bottom, it's kind of a straight line, and then we're going to slowly curve it down, okay? So that is what we're going to kind of do. So I'm going to, from this top spot, I'm going to kind of like pull it over, and then I'm going to just kind of like draw a line that curves down. So that's kind of how I did it. Okay. At this point, it doesn't look like anything, and that's okay. It's not going to until we fill it in and we add the stuff around it. Okay. Then the next part is I'm going to kind of do the same thing here. I'm going to kind of fill it in, and then I'm going to start curving it down like that. Kind of at this point looks like a foot that's curved or something other than a hand. It doesn't look like a hand at all yet. But this is what I want it to look like. This is right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this shape out, and then I'll show you how we'll use a marker to fill in this piece and make it look like it's actual hands with fingernails, and that it's a hand gripping something like that, okay? I'll show you how to do that here in just a second. First, we got to cut this out first, okay? And I'm just gonna not worry about it being perfect. Doesn't have to be perfect, remember. I'm not gonna let this stress us out. And then what I might do is just cut that off, because it's easier to work with smaller pieces when I'm trying to cut something. And then I'm gonna go.
Hi, Christian. We have a question from Chloe.
Yeah.
She
What is
said,
our question?
yes, ma'am. She said, how long should she cut the stems?
I would cut them kind of like the length of your paper, and then we're going to trim them afterwards. So probably longer than you think you'll need, and then we're going to trim them because we want them to all be different lengths. But I would say maybe like if you can get them like 9 inches, and then we might make some shorter than that. But yeah, if you can make them about 9 inches, that would be great.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay.
Kelly says, does the knuckles need to be wider apart?
It does not, no, because we're just drawing this part right here. See, can you see that? We're just drawing this part right here. It's going to be really close together. You see, does that make sense? So no, it's okay if it's just like that. That's just exactly how we want it to be. Okay. And then you might, since we drew, I put on this, I'm going to erase some of where my pencil lines are in case I need to, we'll trim it off later. Okay. I'm not sure, and I made my arm a little bit longer than maybe it needs to be, because I'm not sure where I want to, like, how high like I want it to go on my paper. Does that make sense? Like, do I want it down low like this one is? But then I thought maybe I want it to be a little bit higher. It just depends on how you want to do it. Okay. And now we're going to draw in our fingernails. Okay, we're going to do our thumbs. And this is where I would probably start with a pencil. We're going to start with a pencil. And then what we're going to do is we are going to, I'll put this down so you can see what I'm kind of making it look like. I'm going to start with my thumb, and you're going to just kind of right here, just kind of come in and make a line that goes like this, and then have it go down like that. Okay, do you see how I did that line? I'm making one line that comes in and then goes down. Okay, it's the part of your thumb that looks like this. So I drew this, and then in that line that goes down. Okay, that's what we're doing. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to fill in the lines here, and then here, and then here, and then you're going to fill these in with little little edges. You're going to do that, make the edges look like a half circle like that, and then we're going to fill in our fingernails. And this one is not going to really, you're not going to really see that one because it's covering it like that. Okay, and then you're going to put your thumbnail on, and then we're going to, I'm going to make my thumbnail go a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to fill this in with my marker. And when I do it with my marker, I think it'll be easier for you to see what I did with my pencil. It's kind of hard to see with the pencil, but you see how that kind of looks like a thumb? So I'm going to go in with my marker, and I'm going to start with my thumb. And I'm going to make my little thumbnail like that. And then I'm going to come in with my finger and do this fingernail. I'm going to come in here, make my finger, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go like this, add my finger, and then this one, and that's my thumb. So that's how that's holding all of my bouquet, and then we're going to use that as our thumb and our hand. So that's what it's going to look like. Okay, does that make sense? Any questions about drawing the fist on our hand yet? It's a little bit weird. If you want me to show you how to do it again, I can. Let me know if anybody needs me to show you how to do it again. But I want to make sure we get to finish the project because we've got about 20 minutes left of our time. We still got to glue and then get to the fun part where we embellish it and make it, add all the other extra stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna move this one away because this is the one that I'd already started, and I'm gonna pull out my piece here. Okay, this is the one that's been drying off to the side, and it's still a little bit wet, but that's okay because what I'm gonna do is use my thing to just kind of soak up any extra paint. There's not a ton, but I just want to make sure, I'm going to flip it over so I don't mix. I just want to make sure I get all of the paint. Like most of it's dry, but there's a couple of spots where I just want to make sure that I get it all the way dry.
Hi, Krishna. We have a few people
Yeah.
asking to
Yeah.
redo the hand.
Oh, we need to redo the hand? Yep, I can do that. Let me just get this ready. Okay. Well, I'll move that over. I'll redo the hand. Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it not on colored paper so you can see what I'm doing from the start, okay? And I'll just draw it right here, okay? So we're going to start, I think if I do this in pencil, you'll be able to see it. So we're going to start by doing 4 little bumps, we'll call them 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to kind of come all the way down like this and all the way down like this, okay? So that's what it's going to look like. And then you can like clean it up, and I might make it go like that. That's better. I'll do that line instead. Okay. And so then make it so that this stops moving on you. Then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to draw our thumb. Okay. And we're going to kind of right here, we're going to take it and we're going to make a line like that looks kind of like another nub that's then going to kind of come down like this. And that's going to be our thumb like this. Okay. Looks like our thumb. And then what we're going to start doing is we're going to start filling in the blanks. Okay. So what I like to do are make that is our top circle. And we're going to add our fingernail to our thumb like that. Maybe we'll make that a little bit longer. And then this one, this one is going to be covered, right? And then this one is we're going to see our thumb, and then that one's going to see that fingernail. And then we're going to come in here like this and do it like that. So you're basically finishing off your fingertips like this, right? You're finishing off these 4 fingertips, and then you're putting your thumb in front of it like that. Okay, that's kind of how it's going to work. All right, and then you can cut it out from there. All right, so that's how we're doing it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but that's the idea. All right. Okay, so now let's get to the good stuff. Okay, we've got our paste, our guy. He's ready. He's still like, if I put my hand on it, my hand's not coming up wet anymore, but he's still a little bit damp, but it's good enough for what we need to do next. Okay, so the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to decide, where do I want to put my hand? Okay, do I want my hand to kind of come off of the corner like that, which actually that's kind of perfect, isn't it? So I'm going to grab some glue. I have just Elmer's, like this is craft glue from Creatology at Michael's. You can use Elmer's glue, you can use a glue stick, you can use whatever you want. This is just what I have. So this is what I'm going to use. And I'm going to just kind of flip my guy over and just kind of like outline the shape of my little guy, okay? We're going to put our hand down first, okay? Have him go up like that. All right. Okay, so now he's glued down. Now I want it to look like, when I have the stems, like it's behind, like I'm actually holding it, right? So I want some stems coming up off the top looking like it goes in, and then some stems sticking out the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of decide, we're going to do some work and decide where we want our flowers to go. And then I'll show you how we're going to fix it so that our stems look the way that we want them to look. Okay.
Hey, Christian, if we
Yeah.
don't use glue, can they use tape?
Oh yeah. Or you could use, I pulled out, where were they? You could totally even use like glue dots if you wanted to. Glue, tape would totally work. Double-sided tape, absolutely. Any of those are really great options. Yeah, totally, anything like that could totally work. So we're going to get that. And so then I'm going to decide, I think I want to put this one kind of down low, maybe this one like that. And then maybe we'll do, actually, let's move him in. Let's overlap. So this is just me kind of deciding where I want to put all of my stems, okay? And this is kind of how I think I'm going to put it. And so then what I'm going to do is start placing my stems how I want them to be, okay? Do I want this one? I think I want this one to go behind, because this is going to help me understand what to start gluing down first, okay? So I know that the very first, I'm going to do my stems first. So I'm going to slide these guys all up. Hold on. You can do this if you just want to willy-nilly not plan and not worry about it, totally cool. That works too. But this is how I think I'm going to do it. Just to decide, this is going to be the very first one that I want to do, okay? And I want it to kind of be the tallest. So I'm going to trim it. I'm going to cut it here, okay? And then I'm going to start gluing it right here at that slit because that's where my thumb is coming through, okay? So I'm going to take some glue and I'm going to just add like a little dot at the end or line at the end and a little at this end. You don't have to cover the whole thing. And I'm going to make it look like it's coming out right there. And then I'm going to take that little piece that I trimmed, I'm going to stick it out of the bottom, okay? I'm just going to stick it under my hands and stick it down, just like that. And then I'm going to glue this little guy down. It doesn't need a lot of glue. Cover it like that, okay? So there's that one. And then I think the next one that I'm going to do is this one right here, which is going to kind of be like this. So I'm going to cut it right here. Do the same exact thing. So I'm just kind of cutting it to make it look like it's going, it's actually going through my hand, through my fist. So that's basically what I'm trying to do here is that, and I'm going to just glue him here like this. Going to overlap a little bit. And then we're going to do the same thing I did down here.
Hi, Christian. To confirm, you did already glue the arm down, right?
Yep, I glued the arm down first. Yep. And then if I decide this is too long, I'm just going to cut it so that it doesn't go all the way to the end of the paper. Yes, I glued the arm down first. And then I'm going to add a little bit of glue here in the middle, maybe on the edges of a couple of these. And I'm going to put him like that. Okay. And then let's come over and let's do this guy here. So I'm going to trim them here. And we're just really quickly, just like this is not the part to think about too much. Like it goes pretty quick. You just kind of want them to all be like right there around that spot. So it looks like they're going into the fist, like they're being gripped by the fist. And then we're going to put the flower there. And then we'll have this one coming out the bottom here. Like that. Okay. And then we've got our last ones to go. And I'm going to have this one here kind of be a little bit taller, which means it's going to cut here. I'll just trim, glue. That. Okay. Have it slip out there. And that's too long, so I'm going to cut it there. And the nice thing about this glue is that, yes, it's white when it goes down, when it's wet. So like I have it sticking out here, it's going to dry clear, so you won't even see it. And then I have one last flower to do, and we're going to have him come down here like that. So kind of short. So we'll just have him cut here. We'll have him stick right off over here like this. And then we'll glue him down. Like that. And then we can have one more little guy coming out here on the bottom. Except I know we're going to trim him because he's too long. There, like that. Okay. So this guy needs a little bit of glue down here. Getting rubbed up. So now all of my pieces are down. He's glued. He's ready to go. If I wanted to move him, I could. I might do that still. There we go. All right. So now it's the fun part. Oh, let's add some leaves. Our guy needs some leaves, right? We'll add some leaves, have him come up over here like that. Maybe have one come off over here. Like that. We'll do one more up underneath here like that. Okay. So now our guy is ready to go. He's ready to have some embellishment stuff put on him. Okay. So if this is where, if you wanted to use a marker, you could come in and you could like draw some like lines. If I wanted to get a green marker, I'll show you what I'm talking about. If I wanted to get a green marker and come in and draw some like lines on my leaves like that, I totally could. If I wanted to use like the same, like use like a pink and a purple and kind of like fill in the center, I could do that. And I can do that everywhere that I want. But I also have these fun guys, which I thought might be fun to try to use to add some pizzazz to our piece. We can use any of these that we want. But let's see, I thought let's start with some of these. And maybe we want to put some of these light blue ones down. And we can use our glue again, a little bit here. And we can put like actual like sequins on. These are little flower sequins, which are really cute. This is where you could also add pom-poms, or if you have glitter glue. Here, let me put a few more on this guy, and then I'll show you what I was thinking. And then maybe one more. And then if you have like glitter glue like these guys, you can use this just like you would normal glue, but like you would a marker, and you can kind of fill in some details. Like maybe I'm going to do with this green, go back in and kind of fill it in along here. Give that like a nice like three-dimensional look. Maybe I want to do it along here. Or maybe we want to get real crazy and we want to give our fingernails some fingernail polish. You could do it that way. I think I'm gonna add some dimension to this flower, and I'm gonna have it go up kind of like that on my flower. Like that. Because when this dries, it's just gonna be glitter inside that glue and it's gonna look really, really awesome. Do some more in the middle here.
Hi, Krishna. What do we do if someone's canvas ripped in half?
Someone's canvas ripped in half?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to wait till it's dried all the way. Sometimes you can go in and you can put tape on the back of it, not on the front, but like you can put it down on a flat surface. and you can put tape on the back and then put glue on top of the tape, and then that'll make it dry flat. Sometimes you just have to throw it away and start over. It just kind of depends on how bad the rip is. Without seeing it, I couldn't tell you exactly the right way to do, but I have had that happen before where I've had to like replace a canvas or repair a canvas. I've used like any kind of like tape to do it that way, and that works too. I think for this one, I'm gonna, for this guy here, I'm gonna use these guys, and I'm gonna put, because I have these two, which are just like traditional sequins, and I think I'm gonna use some of these orange and yellow in the middle for that one. And I'll put some of these guys down. Like that. Put that in the middle. This is the nice part. There's no rhyme or reason. If you have foam stickers, you could use those, or sometimes there's like those little gem stickers that you can just peel and stick. That would work too. That could be really cool. There's a lot of different ways that you can make this pretty and make this however you want it to be, which is one of the reasons why I was excited to teach this class. And just a reminder, this class has been recorded, so I would say give us till Monday, but we'll get this class loaded onto the website so that you'll be able to go back and rewatch it. Especially for you who had your canvas ripped, that's a bummer, man. I'm so sorry about that. But you'll be able to go back, watch it, and you'll be able to do it from scratch again too. That'll be part of the way that will help you. Although it's pretty simple, I bet you figured out you probably don't need any help at all. Okay. So let's see, we want to do something else for this guy here. Let's do yellow on this one right here. And we'll do, let's do polka dots on him. How about that? Like that. How's that look? Maybe we'll do some more blue with this purple here. Very, very fun. Well, so that is our project for today. If you want to go back up to my front facing camera, I will hold this up and I'll show it for everybody. We can see how we all did. So this is our project. Some of the glue is still dry. It's still drying, so we might lose some pieces. But I think that looks really fun. These guys here are all going to have like glitter when it dries, so it's going to be extra sparkly, which is going to be really fun. It's still just wet right now. But I hope you guys liked it. I want to see what you did though too. So if you made it along with us and we're going to work on it this weekend, just make sure to post it to hashtag Michael's classes or make it with Michael's, so we can see what you guys did. I hope you have the best day, have the best weekend, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye everybody.